let's start. So this time, what do we do? Yeah, fiction stories. Is it a true story? Real life story? Yeah, it's a made up story. Do you understand? Yes. So these are some fiction stories. And always, we have a beginning, middle, and end. And I'm looking a little bit more, um, right? To fourth and fifth graders. I'm expecting a little bit more from you guys. Anyway, let's see. Are you ready? Uh, uh, who said no? Then we just had to have to go to lunch very late then. Are you ready? Yes. Okay, let's start. First of all, we are going to have G1 David.
Hello everyone, today I will tell about the book Lucky Dog. It is written by Greg Peasley. The main character is Susan the dog. He is a small white dog that is also a big hungry wolf. The story happened in Susan's house and her yard. It all happened in one unlucky day. Susan had a very bad day. Her new skates are too big and she kept falling down. More unlucky things happen to Susan. She loses her favorite marble and she is also runs out of pickle. Each time something goes wrong, the wolf comes to her door and say, "You won a prize." But the wolf is not being kind because he is trying to cook Susan. So he gives her a big pot and vegetables. But the wolf plan didn't work. Susan escaped safely. Her bad luck kept her safe, and she became a very lucky dog. I learned that something bad luck can be good luck. I should be careful with strangers. I am lucky in many ways. I recommended this book because it's funny and excited. The pictures are bright and cute. And I like Susan because she is brave. Thank you for listening.
All right, thank you, David. Okay, next stop will be from G to Logan.
Hello everybody. Today I will talk about how to train your dragon characters. Hiccup, smart but not strong, not very strong Viking. This is a small dragon setting story happens in the park of a small Vikings and dragon live together. A long time ago, during Vikings and dragon live, what work is a place where Viking and dragon live? Kids must learn how to catch train dragon to become a real Viking. Beginning. Hiccup catches a tiny dragon named him Toothless. Celeste to obey hiccup. Fish trouble. Middle. Hiccup finds new ways to train to Celeste using kindness instead of force. Slowly, two Celeste begin to trust him. The Vikings discover a giant monster dragon that is coming. Everyone is scared and doesn't know how to stop it. Hiccup is the most help the village. He made a brave plan with Celeste to fight the monster. Hiccup and Celeste work together to defeat the monster dragon. Hiccup becomes a true hero in his own special way. What did you learn from the story? I learned that you don't have to be the strongest to be a hero. Hiccup shows that being brave, kind, and understanding is more important than being big or strong. I recommend this story because it is funny and full of adventure. The dragon makes the story magical. It also teaches important lessons, teamwork, and believing in yourself. Readers of all ages can enjoy it. Thank you for listening.
G4. Kevin.
Hi everyone, my name is Kevin. Today I will talk about book. Hi everyone, my name is Kevin. Today I will talk about a book named Pinocchio. Subtitle: It is about lies and growing up. Characters: Pinocchio, a wooden puppet who made by Geppetto. Geppetto, who made wooden puppet named Pinocchio. Blue Fairy. When Pinocchio get in trouble, Blue Fairy always help Pinocchio. The Fox and Cat. Fox and Cat lies to Pinocchio and steal 5 gold birds from Pinocchio. The Cricket. The Cricket tells what's right and wrong. Setting: First, Geppetto's house. Second, Lands of Toys Island. Third, Sea. And fourth, the Puppet Theater and Whale's Plumage and beginning. The birth of Pinocchio. Geppetto finds a talking piece of wood, so Geppetto carves it to a wooden puppet named Pinocchio. Pinocchio can talk and walk like a human, so Geppetto decides to send him to school. Middle one: Lies and growing up. When Pinocchio was going to school, he went to puppet show instead, and he believed the Fox and Cat's lie, and he lost 5 gold birds, and he lies to Blue Fairy, and his nose became longer. Middle 2, Punishment and Realization. Pinocchio went to Lands of Toys Island and played for 5 months, and slowly he became a donkey. And he fell down from the cliff, and he went into sea, and whale swallowed Pinocchio, and Pinocchio became a wooden puppet again, and he met Geppetto again, and becoming a real boy. Pinocchio bravely helped Geppetto and escaped from whale's stomach. And Blue Fairy saw Pinocchio is changing, so Blue Fairy made Pinocchio to a real boy. Listen, what we learned. I learned that if we lie, we'll get in trouble. But if we fix what we did wrong, we'll be more better than before. Why I recommend this book. This story is full of adventure, so it is fun to read. And this book teaches us about responsibility and honesty. So I recommend this book to my friends. Thank you for listening.
All right, thank you, Kevin. All right, next stop will be from G4. Seunghyun.
Hello everyone, my name is Seunghyun, and today I will introduce this book. This book name is Flash Stanley. First, I will introduce main character and main Stanley Lamchop is main character, and Arthur is his brother. Arthur is always suit Stanley when Stanley is sad or angry. Setting. The story is starting from Stanley's home at night. Beginning. Stanley Lamchop is an ordinary boy. At least he was, until the night his board fell off the wall and flattened him. Now he can slide under doors, mail himself across the country in an envelope, and fly like kite. Middle. But a serious thing happened. Sneak thieves have been stealing paintings from the famous Museum of Art, and Stanley noticed that he is only one who can stop them. He decided to stop them. He got permission from his mom and person who worked in famous Museum of Art. His name was Mr. Dart. Mr. Dart helped Stanley to camouflage in painting. When night sneak thieves or tried to steal painting, Stanley shouted, "Police!" Police officers run into the museum and arrest them. Finally, they go to jail. For a while, Stanley Lamchop was a famous name. Everywhere Stanley went, the people started and pointed at him.
But after a few weeks, the staring and whispering stopped. Stanley did not mind, but some of people is calling Stanley like super skinny, and he felt sad. However, his brother Arthur soothed him. Arthur found a way to return him. Arthur bring air pump and put inlet into Stanley's mouth. He pumped air into Stanley's body and Stanley is back. I think if I were Stanley, I wouldn't act the way he did. This story gave me courage. I have a lot of fear and I don't like unfamiliar things, but I have a lot of fear and I don't like unfamiliar. But through this story, I realized that change isn't always bad. Lesson. God does not see the same way people see. People look at the outside of a person, but the Lord looks at the heart. 1 Samuel chapter 16 verse 7. I learned this Mary verse in last semester. Stanley may have looked silly on the outside, but his heart was warm, brave, and wise. Other people's opinion about me are not important. Let's always have courage. I recommend this book because it made me laugh, and after reading it gave me a lot to think about. Thank you for listening my long story.
All right, thank you, Seunghyun. Yeah. It's a lot of courage to go on up stage, so please listen nicely, okay? All right, next up will be from G5. Onyu.
Hello everyone, my name is Onyu Lee and today I'm going to present a book called George's Marvelous Medicine by Roald Dahl. The main characters are George Cranky, a young boy who lives with his horrid grandmother on a farm. Mr. Cranky is George's father, who worries about grandmother after she disappears, but praises George's medicine after. Mrs. Cranky is George's mother, who worries about everything and grandmother so much. The setting takes place on a farm in the country. Conflict. George's grandma was always grumpy and mean. He wanted to find a way to make her happier and kinder, but making his own marvelous medicine caused even more trouble. Rising action. He gathered items like ketchup, shampoo, and animal foods to make his own magical potion. As he put the final ingredients, the potion he made started to bubble and fizz. Finally, he gave a little more medicine to his grandma. Then she started to grow taller and taller. Climax. Grandma grew so tall that she crashed through the roof of the house. George's mom and dad arrived home and was so surprised to find a gigantic grandma. the following action. His dad and George made another potion, which that could help Grandma get smaller and go back to her original size. They tried the first medicine on the chicken, but only his neck grew longer. Then, after trials of error, they finally got it right and had to finish with the final touch. In the meantime, Grandma thought the medicine was a coffee, so she snatched it and just drank it. Then she got smaller and smaller, causing her to disappear and seen nowhere. Resolution. When Grandma disappeared, George's mom thought it was very sad, but after a few minutes, she thought that it was very glad that Grandma disappeared because she was such a nuisance in the house. As he briefly thought it was a magical world of his own ways. The lesson I learned with the theme of this book was the ponder of love, empathy, and understanding to transform relationship and bring joy to our lives. The story teaches us that even when things do not go as we planned it, being nice to others is super important. Sometimes magical solutions can even come from our heart. My recommendation to this book, it was a very humorous and imaginative children's classic by Roald Dahl, praised for his storytelling and his illustrator Quentin Blake's drawings and themes of this story with creativity and mischief. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Onyu. Now, next stop will be going back to G1. Euna.
Hello, my name is Yuna. The book I'm introducing this time is Destructive Sorrow. The author is Aaron Renard. It's a story about a dinosaur that comes to Europe for the ocean. Characters are Destructive Sorrow, People, and King Clock. Destructive Sorrow comes for the sea to Europe, where there was a problem. Wherever he went, fields of seaweed and fish piled up, and when he burst, fire broke out, burning every ship in the harbor. His tail caused buildings to collapse, and people were scared because they could get hurt. People shouted at him to stop, but he didn't help. He even damaged a train station, but he was looking for something, his teddy bear. He found it at the train station. People realized he wasn't as bad as they thought. The Destructive Sorrow walked to the beach, holding a teddy bear. People hoped he would return to the city to his former glory, but he simply left. But after he left, a giant chicken appeared. People asked if he had come to help them, but in the giant chicken way, there was only destruction. Destructive Sorrow probably didn't have any ill intention, but he didn't listen to others. I often disobey my parents. I, I recommend this book. And I thought I should do that. I recommend this book to a friend who doesn't listen to others and to a friend who loves dinosaurs. Thank you for listening.
All right, thank you. Now, next up will be from G to Jayden.
everyone, my name is Jayden. Today I'm going to tell about the story called The Chicken Squad. This book is funny, excited, and full of surprise characters. There are 4 main characters and 2 sub characters. Their name is Dirt, Sweetie, Puppy, Sugar, Tail, and JJ. Dirt is smart, Sweetie is brave, Puppy is a little scared, Sweetie talk a lot. Story summary. One day, a very scared squirrel ran to the chicken squad. He said he saw a very big and scary in the yard. He decided to help. He bring flashlight, ropes, and bags just like a real detective. They look for clues everywhere in the yard. The big and scary green things are actually just a green barbecue grill. He thought a green barbecue grill was the monster because he only saw the shadow. What I learned. Lesson 1. Teamwork. Teamwork makes everything easier. Lesson 2. Don't judge too quickly. Squirrel thought the green barbecue grill was a monster because he only saw the shadow. Don't judge things too quickly before checking the truth. Lesson 3. Helping others. Even though the chick were busy, they tried to help the scary squirrel. I think many friends will enjoy it. Thank you for listening.
Hi, thank you, Jayden. Okay, next up from G3. Ian.
Hello everyone, my name is Euna and today I'm going to talk about the book called Ezio Trot. Characters: Mr. Hoppy, Mrs. Silver, and Alfie the Tortoise. Setting: the story takes place in a flat where Mr. Hoppy and Mrs. Silver lives. It happens in modern times. Summary of the story. Beginning. Problem: Mr. Hoppy likes Mrs. Silver but is too shy to tell her. Mrs. Silver only thinks about her pet tortoise Alfie and wishes Alfie would grow bigger. Mr. Hoppy knew how much she wanted Alfie to grow bigger and wanted to help her. Middle. Important events. Mr. Hoppy makes a plan. He teaches Mrs. Silver a magic spell, which is just words backwards. While Mrs. Silver says the spell every day, Mr. Hoppy secretly switches Alfie with bigger tortoises so she thinks Alfie is growing. As his plan works, Mrs. Silver becomes happy and satisfied. End. Solution. Mrs. Silver is pleased because she thinks Alfie grew. She thanks Mr. Hoppy and in the end, they become happy together and become married. A smart idea and brave action from Mr. Hoppy changed everything and eventually ended the story with a happy ending. What did I learn from this story? 1. Courage. I learned that we can be brave and tell people how we feel. Mr. Hoppy was shy for a long time, but when he finally acted, his life changed. 2. Creativity. I also learned that we can solve problems in creative ways, not ordinary ways. Mr. Hoppy used a funny and clever idea to make Mrs. Silver smile. Why do I recommend this book? I recommend this book because it is funny, creative, and easy to understand. The characters are interesting, and the story has a sweet ending with many lessons learned. It's a short book, but it makes me smile and happy. Thank you for listening to my book presentation.
All right, thank you, Ian. Next up is from G4, Olivia.
Hello everyone, today I'm going to introduce a fantasy novel called The Tale of Magic, written by Chris Colfer. This book is full of adventure, magic, and powerful lessons about courage and equality. First, let me introduce the main characters. The story centers on Bristol Evergreen, a smart and curious girl who discovers that she has magical powers. Bristol's life changes when she meets Madame Weatherbury, a powerful fairy who believes that magic should be used to help others. Madame Weatherbury invites Bristol to a magic school where she meets new friends like Lucy, who is brave, funny, and a little chaotic but very loyal. Now, let me summarize the storyline. At the beginning of the book, magic users are treated like criminals, and society is full of strict and unfair laws. Bristol secretly reads books and discovers who she truly is. After she is arrested, Madame Weatherbury rescues her and brings her to the school. While Bristol trains to use her magic, a mysterious enemy known as the Snow Queen threatens the kingdoms. Bristol and her friends must work together to protect everyone, magical and non-magical. Through this journey, Bristol begins to understand her purpose, to fight for freedom, equality, and justice. Finally, here are some lessons we can learn from this book. First, the story teaches us to believe in ourselves even when others do not. Bristol learns that being different is not wrong, it is powerful. Second, the book highlights the importance of fairness and equality. It shows how unfair rules can hurt people and how courage can change the world. And third, we can see how friendship and humor help the characters overcome challenges. And lastly, the Snow Queen story reminds us that hatred often comes from pain and that courage can change a person's destiny. In conclusion, A Tale of Magic is not just a fantasy story. It is a book that encourages us to be brave, to stand up for what is right, and to believe in a better world. Thank you for listening and have a wonderful day.
Do you have a pet? Can you imagine having a penguin as pet? Today I'll be telling you a book named Mr. Popper's Penguin. This is a Newbery Honor book since 1939. The authors of these books are Richard and Florence Atwater. Mr. Popper was a wall painter in the little city of Stillwater. He was not wealthy due to his seasonal job, but he always has a dream. He always dreamed of faraway countries. Whenever he has spare time, he'll read about the Arctic or Antarctic. He even wrote a letter to the Admiral Drake. And you know what? Not long after, he received a surprise. It was a penguin. And he named him Captain Cook. Mrs. Popper was very concerned about their bills. She was a practical woman, but she always supported Mr. Popper's dream. Mr. Popper took Captain Cook for strolls, even remodeled the fridge for Captain Cook to stay. But sadly, not long after, he was sick. He contacted to the nearest aquarium in Mammoth City, and he got Greta, another penguin who had the same symptoms. They thought it might be caused by loneliness, and they were correct. Not long after, they were recovered and hatched 10 eggs. Now Mr. Popper had 12 penguins to take care of. Mr. Popper opened the windows for the penguins to be comfortable, even if they have to wear winter overcoats in the house. One day, when Mr. Popper played the piano, the penguins acted like trained professionals, marching and dancing. Mr. Popper saw if he could train them to perform in theaters. They performed in theaters, which made them a good revenue for their living. They got so famous that the Admiral Drake even came to visit them. The weather was getting warmer for the good of the penguins. Mr. Popper sent them to the North Pole. And finally, he achieved his dream of traveling all around the world. What did I learn from this story? I learned about responsibility, just as Mr. Popper sacrificed his for the happiness of the penguins. More importantly, I learned about how we should never give up to our dreams. Even when Mr. Popper was in a poor situation, he never gave up. He tried to catch all of the smallest things connected to his dream. He wrote a letter to the Admiral Drake. And finally, with great dedication, he achieved his dream. I found that no matter what, we should always try our best to pursue to our dream. I highly recommend this book because it was very funny, especially on the parts of them performing and the funny, hilarious troubles they had. If you're interested, you can even watch the movie of Mr. Popper's Penguins. Thank you for listening. Any questions? Any questions? No. Okay. Bye-bye.
Alright, thank you, Goya. Alright, I think next up will be from G2. Scarlett.
Hello everyone. Today I will introduce you to a book called The Chocolate Touch by Patrick Skane Kathleen. The main character is John Midas. Most of the time, he is a very nice boy even though he breaks the rules sometimes. He had one bad fault. He loved chocolate too much and never shared it. Other characters like John's parents worry about John's health and try to help him when he gets into trouble. The storekeeper, another important character, gives John the special chocolate. The story takes place in John Midas' town, including his house, school, and a small candy store. It all happens on a strange day when John Midas gets chocolate magic. John Midas was candy mad. He really loved chocolate. He ate too much chocolate instead of his meals. His parents were really worried about his health. One day, he found a magic coin on his path and bought a box of chocolate from a strange candy store. After eating one, he got chocolate magic. Everything he put into his mouth turned to chocolate. At first, he thought it was fun, but soon he realized it was a disaster. Everything he ate turned to chocolate, so he was getting terribly thirsty. He really wanted to drink fresh water, but he couldn't. In the end, even his mother turned to chocolate. He went back to the candy store and asked the storekeeper who sold him the special chocolate for help. Finally, John was able to put everything back to how it was before. He regretted all his faults and learned to care about other people. Lesson I learned. I really love jelly too, but not as much as John. I imagine what it would be if the same thing happened to me. Everything turned to jelly, even my mom. It would be terrible, awful, dreadful, nasty. Even these words aren't enough to say how I feel. I learned that eating too much of one thing can be bad for our health and cause a big problem. I recommend this book because it tells us that we should enjoy things in a balanced way. Even if we like something, it may not always be good for us. We all make many mistakes. When we realize our mistakes, it is very important to correct them as soon as possible. This way, we can solve a problem before it becomes a big one. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you, Scarlett. And then next up will be from G3, Yuna.
Hello, my name is Gina Perkins. Today I'll talk about a book called Royal The Draft and the Pally and Me, illustrated by Quentin Blake. The main characters in this book are Draft, Pally, and Monkey, who are always together. Billy and the Duke is the richest man in England. The setting is the Duke's house when the Draft, Pally, and Monkey are wiping windows, an empty old wooden house when Billy met them. There was a boy called Billy, and he lived close to the empty old wooden house. He every time looked inside of it with a clear glass window, but what he saw were only darkness and dust. After some days, he knew that the house was before a sweet shop. Soon, the shop was having work sold. He wanted to have it and make it a sweet shop, but it was sold. On next day, Billy was standing nearby an old wooden house, but a head appeared from a window of second floor. It was a head of giraffe. In the next window, there was a gigantic white bird, which was called Pelican, named Pelly, and on the other side of the window, there was a monkey. They couldn't eat for some days because they used all of money for buying a house, so they didn't have any money. Suddenly, a letter came from the richest person in England who was called the Duke. He needed help to clean up his 677 windows. So they decided to build window wipers there. Pelly became a bucket that holds some water, the rat became a ladder, and Monkey became a wiper for windows. But when they were wiping windows, they saw someone stealing diamond through a glass. Pelly catch a burglar and got him inside of his mouth. The Duke was so thankful for it, so he gave human food for animals and granted Billy's wish, which was having a sweet shop. So the Duke, Billy, Draft, Pelly, and Monkey partied very happily. I learned that if we are together with teamwork and help each other, we can achieve our goals with good results. In this book, Draft, Pelly, and Monkey were together to clean the Duke's windows, and they could eat the food they wished for. This showed me that teamwork can help us achieve our dreams. I also learned that when we work hard now, we can have the happy and joyful time in the future. For example, if I want to be a doctor someday, I should study about our body and work hard to achieve that dream, just like the animals who worked hard for the Duke and were rewarded with their wish. I recommend this book because it taught me about teamwork, the result of working hard, and how our dreams can come true when we keep trying. Thank you for listening to my presentation.
Hi, thank you, Yuna. Next up will be from G4, Daniel.
Hello everyone, today I will talk about the book Trapped in a Video Game, written by Dustin Brady. The main character is Jesse. He is a normal boy, but one day he gets trapped inside a video game. His best friend Eric tries to help him escape. There is also a scary monster. The developer is people who made a game. The story happened inside a video game. The game has many levels, traps, robots, and monsters. To Jessie, everything feels weird. Jessie went to Eric's home and saw that the video game was on. Suddenly, Jessie pulled into the video game. He wants to get out but doesn't know how. A big monster starts to chase him. Jessie goes through many levels. He fights monsters and avoids traps. And Eric helped by finding clues. They learn the game has big mistakes and dangerous errors. Jessie reaches the final levels. The monster becomes very strong. Eric tries to help him. Eric tries to find the exit code. They must move, hurry before the game deletes everything. Jessie and Eric find the correct code. Jessie defeats the monster. The game stops. And Jessie returns to the real world. The developers say they will fix the game. I learned that the teamwork is very important. Jessie and Eric escape because they help each other. When you feel scared, you overcome it with brave. I recommended this book because it is fun, exciting, and easy to understand. Jessie and Eric's friendship is very strong. It is perfect for kids who like game and adventure. Thank you for listening.
All right, next up. Yeah, it's gonna be you. Next up is gonna be from G5 Lina. So this one goes to the.
Today I will tell you a book called Findle written by Andrew Clements. Characters. This is Nick Allen. He is a 5th grader in Lincoln Elementary School and a student from Mrs. Granger's language arts class. And he's the one who made the word Findle. This is Mrs. Granger. She's the one who tried to warn and stop Nick from the word. And also she's the language art teacher from Lincoln Elementary School. This is Findle. I know it's not a living thing, but it's a word from the dictionary and it's the word made from Nick. Settings. The story takes place at Lincoln Elementary School, especially in Mrs. Granger's 5th grade language arts classroom. The story happens during Nick's 5th grade school year. It takes over several months from the beginning of the school year in the fall and until the time when Nick grows up. Beginning. Nick Allen is a creative and smart student who loves to make fun ideas at school. One day, Mrs. Granger tells the class that words have meanings because people use them. Then Nick gets an idea. He decides to call a pen a Findle. Nick began to tell his friends, and his friends kept spreading the word. Mrs. Granger was upset, and she tries to stop her, but Nick continues to spread it. This is the start of the big funny battle between Mrs. Granger and Nick. The word Findle spreads quickly. The students from other grades start to use it, and Nick becomes a celebrity. The reporter came to interview him, and soon the Findle appeared in the newspaper, and even stores started selling pens which said Findle on it. His parents became worried, but Nick didn't care, and he realizes that his idea became more bigger. Ending. The word Findle becomes very popular and it becomes the real English word in the dictionary. Nick grows up and becomes successful, and he found a long-kept letter from Mrs. Granger. In the letter, it said that Mrs. Granger always believed in Nick's idea, and she always wanted to teach him the power of language. Nick felt grateful, and he sent Mrs. Granger a special gift which had a Findle on it. Nick realizes that Mrs. Granger helped him become wiser and stronger. Their relationship became more friendly and more respectful. The story ends with Nick understanding his small idea growing to a bigger idea than the school. The lesson I learned that even a small idea can become big and powerful when people support it. I learned to believe in my creativity and not to be afraid to try something new, even if other people don't understand it at first. Recommending. I have 5 reasons why I recommend you this book. First, Nick is creative and he invents a new world. Second, it's about school life, friends, teachers, and having fun. Third, you learn to believe in your ideas. Fourth, the words are easy to read, so younger grades can read it too. Fifth, lastly, it's funny and enjoyable. Before I end, I want you to know that small ideas can make a big change. And thank you for listening.
All right, thank you, Lina. Next up is going to be from G2, Hana.
Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk about the book called The Big Little Book of Happy Sadness, written by Colin Dobson. Have you ever seen a dog with under 3 legs? This story is about the 3-legged dog and a lonely boy. This story is meaningful, so I'll learn many lessons from it. Characters. The main character is Jeremy, a dog with under 3 legs. Yes, he's disabled. Jeremy had lived in a dog shelter for a long time because nobody wanted him. So, another important character is George, a little boy who is an orphan. So, he lived with his grandmother. Setting. George's home and the dog shelter. They're the lonely places. And the beginning. George visits the dog shelter whenever he feels lonely. There's the last care for the dogs nobody wants. Usually it is empty, but one Friday, George sees a dog sitting inside. The dog's name is Jeremy, the 3-legged dog. He looks sad, scruffy, and very lonely. And today is his final day. If no one chooses him today, he'll be put down. George decided to save Jeremy, so George runs home to ask his grandma if they could take Jeremy home. In the middle, George tells his grandma about Jeremy. She stood the loneliness inside George and decided to adopt Jeremy. At first, everything is strange to Jeremy, but soon he'll list many new words like cushion warms not being alone walkies, but he still needs one more leg for proper walkies. So George and Grandma decided to make a leg for Jeremy with wood. In the end, when Jeremy got a new leg, he's very happy. With Jeremy in the family, George, Grandma, and Jeremy are not lonely anymore, and they lived happily ever after. Lessons I learned. I learned 3 lessons from this book. First, have a responsibility for pets. Pets are not toys. When we adopt a pet, we must love it for its whole life. Second, being together makes us happy. George's family are lonely at first, but when they adopted Jeremy, they became happy. Third, helping others can change your life. George and Grandma helped Jeremy by making him a new leg. When they help someone, their life becomes happy. Read this book. When I read this book, I thought of my old dog Chukbok, and I felt thankful for my family because they are always with me. I recommend this book. You'll feel the same way. Thank you for listening.
All right, good job, Hannah. Next up from G3, Irene.
Hi, my name is Irene Joe, and today I'm going to introduce a book called Trumpet Trouble by Meredith Costain. Characters. The characters are Dax, Mr. Franklin, Mrs. Liston, and Jamie. Dax is the student who loves the trumpet. Mr. Franklin is the music teacher. Mrs. Liston is Dax's homeroom teacher. Jamie is Dax's friend who helps him. Setting. The story takes place in music room and classroom. Beginning. Dax and Alex both wanted to play the trumpet. In music class, each student had to choose one instrument for the concert. But Alex took the trumpet first, so Dax felt sad. Mr. Franklin called Dax to his office and gave him a special trumpet to borrow. Middle. One day, Jamie asked Dax to try the trumpet, but he blew too loudly, and Mrs. Liston got angry. She took it and put it on her desk. The next morning, Dax looked for the trumpet, but it was gone. Dax and Jamie searched everywhere, but they couldn't find it. What did you learn from the story? From this story, I learned that responsibility is very important. When someone trusts me, then I should take care of what they gave me. For example, Dax felt very worried when the trumpet was missing, but he did not give up. He kept trying to find it and worked together with his friend Jamie. This taught me working together helps solve problems more easily. Why do you recommend this story? I recommend this book, Trumpet Trouble, for 2 reasons. First, the story teaches important lessons about responsibility and honesty. It shows that when we share items with others, we should be careful. Second, the story is written in a clear and simple way. It makes the story easier to understand and more interesting to read. For these reasons, I think this book is a great choice for the elementary student. Thank you for listening.
Hey, thank you, Irene. Next up, we have G4, Della.
Hello everyone, my name is Della. Today, I want to share a book that I really enjoy reading. The book is called Restart and it's written by Gordon Corman. The main character of this book is a boy named Chase Ambrose. One day, something shocking happens. Chase falls off a roof and loses all his memories. It's like his whole life suddenly disappears. When Chase arrives at school, he notices that people act weird around him. Some kids are scared of him, and others just avoid him. Later, Chase finds out that before the accident, he used to be a very mean bully. The new Chase can't believe it because now he feels like a completely different person and thinks bullying is wrong. While trying to understand who he really is, he starts thinking, maybe I don't have to be the person I used to be. So he starts thinking who he wants to be from now on. He joins the video club and becomes friends with people he never talked to before, like Brendan. He works hard to become a better person. But for some kids, like Shoshana, it's still very hard to forgive him because they still remember all the pain he caused. During the story, Chase keeps fighting between his old self and his new self. Near the end, he makes a big choice. He stands up to his old friends. His memory doesn't fully return, but he makes an important decision. You can't change the past, but you can change what you do next. After reading this book, I realized that your past doesn't have to control your future. People can change if they really want to. Chase made a lot of mistakes, but he learned from them and chose to change. Real courage isn't being strong or popular. Real courage is to admit your mistakes and choosing to change. I recommend Restart because it's touching, easy to follow, and meaningful. It made me think about my own actions and the kind of person I want to be. And it leaves us with an important question. If I could restart my life, what kind of person would I choose to be? Thank you for paying attention to my presentation.
Thank you, Della. Last but not least, from G for Luna.
If I were born with wings, should I stay alone? Hello everyone, my name is Luna, and today I want to present my book called Cat Wings by Ashley K. Logan. This story is about how being different can make you feel alone, but also how understanding can create new connections. There are 4 main characters: Harriet, Selma, James, Logan, and their mother Jane. Also, they meet 2 important children in the forest, Susan and Hank. The setting of the story begins in the city, moving into forest, and lastly ending a new safe home. Beginning. The city was a dangerous place for the kittens. People are shocked or try to use them just because the kitten had wings. And kittens could not understand why. So slowly they began to think all humans are dangerous. So their mother Jane sent them to the forest for their safety. Middle. When they saw Susan and Hank, they hid for a while. Their past experiments made them believe that all humans would hurt them. But the children did not chase them, did not scream. They simply and calmly wait for the kittens to open their heart. This was completely different from what the kitten had seen before. And for the first time, kitten realized not all humans are dangerous. At that moment, their misunderstanding about humans disappears, and first set of trust begin to grow. Ending. Susan and Hank brought them to the forest and take care of them with kindness. For the first time, kitten feels safe and protected. In the end, they find a new home, new beginning. Lesson I learned. In this story, I learned that do not judge people by outside, but by the inside. Misunderstanding creates fear, but understanding creates trust. Courage leads us to the new beginnings. I recommend this book because it beautifully shows how fear can turn into trust. It is full of imagination, emotion, and hope. My favorite part was the moment the kitten opened their heart and started to trust the human for the first time. Thank you.
Okay, our book presentation is finally over. All right, thank you for sitting here for a long time.